Chapter 5. The Revelation of the Lost Archive. The team descended silently through the cold, shadow-filled corridors, following Clara Voss's instructions. The control station she had mentioned was located on the deepest level of the Alpha Research Center, a place that had been out of reach since communication with the colony had been lost. As their footsteps echoed through the abandoned hallways, the unease grew stronger. The strange fog of the planet seemed to seep even into the building, making the air heavier and denser. "We're getting close," Clara said, her voice muffled but urgent. "The control station is just ahead. We need to move quickly." Commander Hauser looked at his team, all with their hands on their weapons, ready for any threat. James Wiles, the security officer, stared at the door ahead, his eyes alert to every movement. Whatever was waiting for them inside, he knew it wouldn't be easy. The door to the control station opened with a loud metallic crash, revealing a large room filled with monitors, terminals, and advanced technological equipment, all covered in dust and debris, as if time had stopped there. In the center of the room, a command desk was illuminated by a faint glow from a terminal, as if something was still functioning. Clara stepped toward the console, her fingers pressing the controls while her expression showed intense concentration mixed with desperation. "We need to access the data archives," Clara said as she quickly entered commands into the terminal. "There's something here that might help us understand what really happened to the colony, something we didn't know." Hauser watched her closely but asked nothing. He knew she was about to reveal crucial information. Clara had always spoken about the potential of the alien creature, but she had never explained what truly happened during the experiments. The fact that she was so nervous only increased the commander's anxiety. "These are the colony's records from before communication was lost," Clara said, her voice a little steadier now, though she was still visibly shaken. "But there's something else, a sequence of files that was hidden, files that were never available to us before." With a gesture, Clara activated a holographic projection, revealing a series of distorted images and encrypted data. "These files are from the secret laboratory where the true nature of the organism was discovered." The commander stepped closer to examine the hologram. What he saw was terrifying. The images showed the first encounters with the creature, which at first appeared harmless. But as time passed, the organism began modifying its cells, developing the ability to manipulate minds. At a certain point, the records showed individuals being affected by the alien substance. Not only scientists, but colonists as well began losing awareness of themselves, slowly succumbing to the creature's influence. "It wasn't just a biological life form," Clara explained, her expression dark. "It was a being that feeds on the vital energy of living creatures, absorbing their consciousness. Little by little, it transformed humans into hybrids, a fusion between them and the creature. They stopped being people and became servants, an extension of the creature's will." The room seemed to grow colder as Clara's words sank into the minds of those listening. Hauser closed his eyes for a moment, trying to process what he had just heard. That explained the absence of bodies. The colonists were not dead, they had been transformed. "So that means the colonists are still under the creature's control?" Wiles asked tensely. He glanced around the room, as if expecting one of the creatures to appear at any moment. "And what else do those files show?" Clara hesitated, then continued. "The worst part is that the creature wasn't just creating hybrids. It was also experimenting with ways to expand its capabilities, to reach other life forms across the galaxy. The records mention plans to release a modified version of its biotechnology on other planets, starting with Draconis IV. They believed they could use the organism as an eternal energy source, but what they were really creating was a trap, a parasite that consumes and destroys." Hauser felt a wave of despair wash over him. They were dealing with a threat far greater than they had imagined. The entire galaxy could be in danger. "We can't let this escape," Hauser said, his tone grave. "We must eliminate the source before the creature has a chance to spread." Clara turned to him, her eyes now colder and more focused. "I agree, but it's too late to simply destroy the organism. The creature is already connected to every system of the colony. To destroy it, we must deactivate the central energy core, where the alien substance is being contained. But it won't be easy. It will resist at all costs." Hauser looked at the rest of his team, feeling the weight of the decision fall upon him. They had reached the point of no return. There was no turning back now. If they didn't destroy the creature here and now, it would continue to spread, and the consequences would be unimaginable. "Then that's it," Hauser said firmly. "We're going to the energy core, and we end this." The team prepared for what was coming next. Each of them knew they were about to face challenges beyond anything they had ever imagined. But deep down, they all understood an unsettling truth. They had no idea how deep the creature's influence truly went, and perhaps the greatest danger was that it had already begun infiltrating their own minds. Chapter 6. The Corrupted. The team moved silently through the Alpha Research Center, the atmosphere thick and filled with an oppressive silence. Every step they took seemed to echo like a constant reminder that they were dealing with something far greater than they had imagined. Clara Voss, despite her deep knowledge of the colony, was visibly tense, her eyes scanning every corner of the room as if waiting for the moment when the threat would finally appear. "We're getting close to the energy core," Clara said, her voice low, clearly tense. "When we get there, it'll be a battlefield. The creature has full control of the system. It has already infiltrated every level of the center. We don't have much time." Commander Hauser remained focused, although his mind was filled with doubts. They had come this far, faced so many obstacles, but now the greatest challenge lay ahead. The alien creature was no longer just a biological threat. It had become a presence, a being that dominated the minds and bodies of all the colonists who had fallen under its influence. It didn't just want to control the colony, it wanted to absorb, expand, and now it seemed to be preparing for something far more sinister. "If we're lucky, we might be able to deactivate the core without too many complications," Hauser said, though he knew luck was not on their side. "We need to move quickly and quietly. No one can know we're here, especially the transformed." They reached a heavy entrance sealed with thick metal doors and an energy barrier. Clara stepped forward with a determined expression, though her eyes reflected the weight of a burden she had carried for a long time. "This is the last barrier," she explained. "The energy core is right behind these doors, but I don't know what awaits us. The creature is expanding, and those who were corrupted by it are no longer human. They are part of it now." Wiles, the security officer, looked at Clara skeptically. "Corrupted? What exactly does that mean?" "It means the colonists are no longer controlled by their own minds," Clara replied, her voice heavy. "They've been transformed into hybrids. Their bodies now serve as hosts for the alien entity. They're no longer the people they once were. They're simply vessels for the creature's will." With a gesture, Clara activated a panel beside the door, and the doors opened with a loud metallic crash, revealing a dark and poorly lit corridor. They advanced cautiously, their footsteps echoing through the silence. Whatever lay ahead was a reflection of what the colony had become, a living prison controlled by the creature. As they approached the energy core, Hauser felt the environment change. The air grew thicker, as if something was directly interfering with the atmosphere itself, manipulating even the space around them. Whatever this alien entity was, it was becoming stronger, and its power seemed to extend far beyond the physical limits of the colony. Suddenly, a shadow moved ahead. One of the colonists, or what remained of him, appeared at the corner of the corridor. His face was deformed, and his eyes were dull and lifeless. He was no longer aware of his own identity. The creature had taken complete control of his mind. "Stay ready," Hauser whispered, his heart racing. "It's using the colonists as soldiers. We're entering enemy territory." The man, or what remained of him, moved forward slowly, his motions clumsy and unnatural like a puppet. His body was twisted, and the smell of rot and decay spread through the air. He didn't say a word, but the creature's presence was obvious. He was being controlled, an extension of the alien entity's will. Wiles was the first to react, raising his weapon and firing at the hybrid. The gunshot echoed through the corridor, and the colonized body fell to the floor. But what terrified them most was that the body began to twitch, as if trying to reform, as if the creature were attempting to reconstruct it. "We won't be able to stop all of them," Clara said desperately. "We need to reach the energy core now before more of them appear." Hauser nodded and urged his team forward. "Quick, follow me. We're almost there." They finally reached the energy core, a massive center of controls and alien technology. The room was enormous, with metallic walls that seemed to pulse with the creature's energy. In the center, a column of light glowed intensely, radiating a powerful energy that appeared to feed directly from the alien substance permeating the environment. Clara approached the column cautiously, her fingers trembling as she tried to access the control panel. "Here it is. If we can deactivate the energy source, the creature will lose its strength, but if we fail, it will expand even further." "We have to try," Hauser said firmly. "Shut it down, now." While Clara worked frantically to deactivate the core, the rest of the team kept watch, their eyes scanning for movement around them. They knew that at any moment more colonists might appear, more monsters created by the creature to defend its source of power. The tension was palpable, and time seemed to crawl. Finally, Clara made the final move, and a series of lights flashed on the panel, indicating the system was shutting down. But at the same time, a burst of energy erupted from the central column, forcing everyone to crouch down. The creature was trying to resist, trying to maintain control. "Now," Hauser shouted, "let's get out of here." With the central energy beginning to fail, the team ran back through the corridor, aware that the fight was far from over. They had deactivated the energy source, but whatever remained of the creature was still watching them, waiting for the moment to strike. Chapter 7: The Inner Nightmare. The research center was in ruins. The energy core, which once powered the facilities and sustained the alien creature, was now on the verge of shutting down. But as the Astra's team ran through the corridors toward the safety of their ship, a growing sense of unease began to take hold of them all. They had faced the corrupted, the colonists transformed into hybrids of the creature, but something else was happening, something they still could not fully understand. Commander Hauser led the team, adrenaline still pumping through his veins, but his thoughts were divided. Although they had deactivated the energy source, he knew the danger was not completely gone. The creature was cunning, and something deep inside him said they had not yet seen the worst. "Stay alert," Hauser said, his voice firm and serious. "The mission isn't over. We can't allow the creature to reconfigure itself. We have to get back to the ship and report what we found." But as they moved through the dark and crumbling corridors, the environment around them began to change. The air felt thicker, almost sticky, as if the planet itself were reacting to their presence. The walls, once solid and imposing, now pulsed with a strange energy, almost alive. James Wiles, the security officer, looked around suspiciously, his finger resting on the trigger of his weapon. "What's happening? The environment is changing. This isn't normal." Clara, who had remained silent until now, looked increasingly uneasy. "The creature, it's not as dead as we thought. It's not just a biological entity, it has control over the environment. It's trying to pull us in, to turn us into another extension of itself." Clara's revelation sent a chill down Hauser's spine. He knew the creature was powerful, but he had never imagined it had this kind of control over the planet and its surroundings. "We have to resist," Hauser said, his eyes fixed on the team. "Keep moving forward. The Astra is only a few kilometers away." But as they continued, the hallucinations began. At first it was Clara. She started stopping every now and then, her breathing growing heavier. Her eyes seemed distant, as if she were hearing something no one else could hear. "Clara?" Hauser asked, concern in his voice. She looked at him, her eyes trembling. It's inside me." Before Hauser could react, Clara collapsed to the ground, her hands twisting as if she were fighting something invisible. Her eyes were completely glazed over, and the pain on her face was unmistakable. Clara was being consumed by the creature from the inside out. "It's trying to take over me," she whispered, her voice weak and broken. I fought it the whole time, but now I don't know if I can anymore." Wiles quickly rushed to her side, helping her back to her feet, but Hauser knew time was running out. The creature was stronger than they had imagined. It had evolved in ways they could not understand. The battle for Clara's mind was not simply a struggle against a biological substance. It was a battle against the very essence of the creature, a cosmic force that transcended physical limitations. "It's trying to divide our minds," Hauser said, looking at the rest of the team. "What happened to Clara could happen to any of us. We need to get out of here now." But the atmosphere around them was becoming even more oppressive. The walls pulsed with alien energy, and the ground beneath them seemed to tremble, as if the planet itself were rebelling against their presence. What once seemed like a simple route back to the Astra now felt like a suicide mission. "We can't leave," Clara said in a low, almost inaudible voice. "The creature, it's already inside all of us. It's spreading. It's trying to drag us into its domain." Clara's words were disturbing, but Hauser knew the worst was yet to come. The creature's control was not just physical. It had manipulated their perception, made them vulnerable, and was now doing the same to every member of the team. One by one, the strange fog surrounding the planet seemed to be an extension of the entity itself, trying to invade their minds. "We need to reach the ship," Hauser said, determination unwavering in his voice. "The Astra is our only chance to escape." But what they didn't realize was that in trying to escape, they had already become part of the creature-infested galaxy. Each of them, touched by it, now carried a fraction of its power, an indelible mark of what they had unleashed. And as they moved forward, the truth became clearer and clearer. Perhaps it wasn't only the planet that was lost. Perhaps the crew of the Astra had already been corrupted, without even knowing it. Chapter 8. The Rise of the Entity. A sense of despair had taken hold of the team. Every step they took felt like a battle against time, and against a force they barely understood. Clara Voss, although seemingly aware of her internal struggle, now appeared more distant. She kept walking, but her mind was deeply connected to the alien entity, a connection that was slowly consuming her from the inside. The creature was trying to dominate her completely, and as she had said before, she was no longer certain who was truly in control. Commander Hauser remained steady, his eyes constantly assessing every movement of the team, but his mind was troubled by the clear signs that something even worse was about to happen. The creature, which until that moment seemed limited to the planet, was growing, expanding its capabilities. The planet was no longer just a prison, it had become a living gateway, a host for something that was now spreading across the galaxy. "We're close," Hauser said, his voice deep but filled with rising tension. "The ship is only a few kilometers away. We can't stop now. We need to leave this planet before it's too late." But the commander's words did not bring the relief he hoped for. With every step, the environment around them seemed stranger, more distorted. The air was charged with a sense of electricity, as if the atmosphere itself were reacting to their presence. It was as though the planet were alive and preparing to respond to their every movement. They were no longer in a controlled environment, but inside a living entity that was watching them, waiting for the right moment to strike. James Wiles, the security officer, looked around nervously. "It's not just the atmosphere. The planet, it's changing." "I know," Hauser replied, clenching his jaw. "The creature is no longer just a biological threat. It's becoming a cosmic force. It controls everything around it, even space and time." Clara, who had been walking in silence for some time, suddenly stopped. The look in her eyes was empty, as if she were being consumed by something beyond her comprehension. Her breathing became irregular, and she seemed to be hearing something the others could not. "It's waking up," Clara said, her voice distant, almost whispering. "It's no longer just a part of this planet. The creature, it's connecting with other forms of life, with other worlds. It's no longer just Draconis IV. It wants more, and there's nothing we can do to stop it." Hauser felt a heavy weight fall upon his shoulders. He knew the situation was serious, but now it seemed there was no longer any way to contain the entity's spread. What once seemed like a rescue mission had turned into a desperate race for survival. They were no longer just fighting to escape Draconis IV. They were fighting to prevent the galaxy from being consumed by an alien force beyond their understanding. "So that's it," Wiles said, his voice strained. "We're running toward death, aren't we?" "No," Hauser replied firmly. "We're running toward the only chance to stop this from spreading. If we can reach the Astra and leave the creature's field of influence, we might still have a chance to destroy it. But we need to act now." They began moving quickly again, but as they advanced, the atmosphere around them distorted even more. The ground trembled slightly, and a wave of confusion spread through their minds. Clara, who had been walking beside Hauser, now seemed to falter, her body unstable. The creature was trying to invade her completely, and her internal struggle was becoming more visible with every passing second. "Clara, stay with us," Hauser ordered, his voice filled with concern. But Clara seemed to be fighting something invisible, something the others could not see. She began drifting away, her movements uncontrolled, as if she were being pulled by a force beyond her understanding. Suddenly, Clara fell to her knees, the pain on her face intensifying. "It's in my mind. I can't fight it anymore." In a sudden impulse, Wiles rushed toward Clara, trying to hold her, but he was immediately thrown back by a wave of energy that burst from her body. The creature was now manifesting physically, using Clara as a vessel. "Stay away from her," Hauser shouted fiercely. He knew the creature was manifesting through Clara, taking control of her body to stop the team from reaching the ship. The creature's energy spread through the environment, making everything around them more unstable. The walls began to warp, and the ground shook more violently. Hauser knew he didn't have much time. They had to reach the Astra before the entire planet was consumed by the alien force. "Move now," Hauser ordered, grabbing Clara, who seemed increasingly lost in her internal struggle. "If we don't reach the ship soon, we'll be consumed by it." They began running toward the exit, but the atmosphere was becoming increasingly hostile. It was as if the planet itself was trying to stop them, but Hauser's determination was stronger. They had to reach the ship, and if that meant fighting against the very essence of the planet itself, he would do it.